More chips, don't let the salad win. That's the message in terms of nature of the food maybe that we consume in Wales.
It's Wrexham.
He's done it, the magic little man, Watkin. Oh, he scored! Steve Watkin has got a goal!
Ball breaks for Foden, it's in early, as Rush likes it, and he'll chase it, he'll collect it, Ian Rush!
Bennett, and that's a second for Wrexham. Well, classic, changing defence into attack.
Conley! 1-0 to Wrexham, Carl Conley's done it!
Trundle for options, put it back to Morels. Oh, it's a good save! Oh no, it is, and it's in the back of the net. Andy Morel. What a goal! What a goal! What a goal from Al Robson Cardiff! Folks, good way you kids up. Something special is happening here tonight. Wales are going into the semi-finals of the European Championship.
Wondergate, Ferguson has definitely won it for Wrexham now.
And here's Mendy! There's that race-class roll again! Saved by Foster!
Wales are going to the Euros next summer. Wilkinson's wonderful Welsh women.
Wales! Wales have done it! They've reached the World Cup! It's him again! Champions! Wrexham are promoted! They have their storybook ending!
The first team in history to eat more chips and not let salad win.
Hello and welcome to the Eat More Chips podcast, the official podcast, one of the most recognisable flags in the Welsh football supporters universe. No Daz this week, as he's off with the dreaded lurgy, but in a week when officials for Maine's largest healthcare provider have apologised for sending their condolences to hundreds of people who are still alive. A computer system error caused Maine health officials to send letters of condolence to more than 500 living people to inform their next of kin of their reported deaths. Maine Health, the state's largest provider of medical services, sent the false condolence letters to 531 people on October the 20th. WCSH reported Maine Health sincerely regrets this error, and Maine Health officials said in a prepared statement. The cause of the mistake was a computer program that generates estate vendor letters, ABC News reported. There were no medical records that listed the individuals as dead, and the computer program has since been corrected to prevent future occurrences. Maine Health is a non-profit healthcare provider that operates a Level 1 trauma centre and 8 other hospitals, according to NBC News. Funnily enough, I do have an envelope in my hand for one particular person. It's Jamie!
What's in the envelope?
What's in the envelope? Your lottery ticket. And your lottery winnings tonight is to be on the pod with me and no Daz.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Unlucky, mate.
Get well soon, Daz. Get well soon.
Yes, get well soon, mate. I know you're feeling a little bit under the weather. There's a lot of it going around at the moment, apparently. Well, fans of Football Manager may have many new features at the moment to look forward to, and the newest on the release of this game, with 14 women's leagues from around the world now included. Excitingly, this now includes the Gennaro Adran Premier. The football management simulation video game, developed by Sports Interactive and published by Sega, has introduced women's football for the first time in the upcoming release. The Gennaro Adran Premier will be fully licensed in Football Manager 2026 with official player photos, club logos and kits standing alongside the likes of the Barclays Women's Super League and the National Women's Soccer League of America. The Football Manager 26 women's database, which consists of more than 36,000 players and a further 5,000 non-players, aims to be the biggest and most accurate women's football database in the world. FM26 for PC and Mac, FM26 console, Xbox and PS5, and FM26 mobile, Netflix with FM26 Touch on the Nintendo Switch, scheduled to be released digitally on December the 4th. Jack Sharp, head of the FAW head of domestic leagues, commented, "It's brilliant to have the Gennaro Adran leagues included in Football Manager 2026, particularly for it to be one of the first women's leagues introduced on the game. As we work towards the release of the first bespoke strategy for the division in 2026, this is a step that already helps to boost the profile and awareness of our women's top flight and engagement around it." Jamie, this is quite a coup, this really, to get a side like the Gennaro Adran in Football Manager 26. So now you can play not only as Wrexham men's manager if you want to in the EFL, but now you can also step into Jenny Sugarman's shoes and manage Wrexham Women.
I was thinking more from Daz's perspective, he can manage Aberystwyth, can't he? Fulfill a lifelong dream. Yeah, I mean, look, it's quite a small thing, isn't it? You know, in the sense of like with it being a computer game and everything else. But I mean, one thing's for sure is, you know, Football Manager's got a huge following. I have to be honest, it's not something I've played for many years.
Me neither. I was thinking about it today, thinking I've not played Football Manager probably since before 2000.
Well, the fact you said, I think when you reeled off the platforms it's on, I think, did you say Nintendo Switch? So I bought myself a Switch 2 when they came out a few months ago. Granted, I haven't actually played it because I've been so busy, but hopefully in the new year, if I've got a bit of time, I might, if it's on that, I might get it on that. I think Matt off Racecourse Rambles and Michael Starkey are quite big into that, aren't they? I noticed I think they pass messages I've seen between the two of them, like proper geeks, geeking it up about Football Manager. But no, I haven't played it for years. But no, the fact that it's a little bit like when the lower leagues were recognised on like the main FIFA game on like PlayStation and stuff, wasn't it? It's only a small thing, but it's significant because it means that there's a little bit of acknowledgement being given to, you know, the league and the teams and the players, which is all good. So yeah, but you know, hopefully it'll be something maybe a little bit more widespread on some of the other more well-known, you know, games going forward. But yeah. Get on it, and like you say, pretend to be Jenny Sugarman and coach the women's team to European glory.
Yeah, and it comes in the same week as well as Panini have announced the release of the EFL album for this year, where they're doing all 72 clubs in the Championship, League 1, League 2, with Lewis O'Brien from Wrexham on the front of the album. And now again, I'm a massive Panini sticker geek. I've ordered mine already. It's not out till 20th of November. I've ordered like the big box set, 100 packs plus the whatever. Sad, I know, for a 56-year-old man to still be into that stuff. But I remember it when I was a kid. You know, it was all the big thing. Particularly my Panini. I remember Panini 78 and Panini 80. I managed to complete. Those are the only ones I ever managed to complete. And at that point, Wrexham were in that one as well. So again, you know, it's the little things which is like raising Wrexham's profile that little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the Panini sticker album, it's nice, isn't it, from a retro point of view, to see proper sticker books coming back in the digital age we live in. But for me, there's three things about stickers. So one, I couldn't do it now because my OCD wouldn't allow me to not stick them in straight. Two, I think I would probably get arrested if I went to a school playground to do swapsies at 45 years of age.
Definitely.
And three, when I did see that they were doing this, it just reminded me. It just reminded me of when I was a kid and when I used to collect sticker albums and God bless her, when Mum was alive. I remember just having rows with Mum in the shop to buy packs of stickers. I'd literally negotiate selling a kidney so that she'd buy me these packs of stickers, and then I'd get a couple of packs and they'd got. Yeah, I didn't need any of these. I got them all. It's nice. It's nice from an old school, an old fashioned point of view. It's nice to see, you know, like a proper retro thing coming back. You know, to get these kids away from back in my day.
Sticker packs now. So you get 6 stickers. It's £1
for 6 stickers.
Yeah, I know. I remember in my day. I remember as far back when they were 5p, where you buy 5 for 5p, so they were a penny a piece. But yeah, it's £1 now. It's £1.
I don't remember them being 5p. I remember a pack of stickers being like 25p. But the important thing is on this new version, have they got shinies?
Got foils, there's foils.
Yeah,
for the
that's
badges.
right. As long as they've got shinies, that's all that matters, because
absolutely.
They're like sort of unicorn spunk, aren't they? Got the shinies. They're
absolutely. Like... So if you'll excuse us now, we'll just be reminiscing for the next 2 hours. Anyway, moving on though, Cymru and Adidas are proud to unveil the new Cymru home shirt, a design inspired by Welsh history and national pride, according to the FAW website. The red base, synonymous with Cymru's home kits throughout the years, and the famous Draegoch is reimagined with a bold horizontal stripe design in dark green, red and white, the colours that reflect the nation's flag. The Welsh translation of the country's name, Cymru, is faintly visible within the centre green stripe, celebrating our nation's identity and unity. Across the back of the neck, the Football Association of Wales motto, Gore chwarae, cyd chwarae, or best play is team play. Remind us that the success on the world stage is built on togetherness, both on and off the pitch. Crafted with Adidas's latest Climacool Plus technology, the shirt is made for performance and comfort, helping players stay cool and focused as they represent Cymru. The design also features Adidas's new lenticular logo, adding a bold and modern detail to a shirt rooted in tradition. The kit's in action at home for the first time on Tuesday, the 18th of November. Kick off 7:45 p.m. GMT at the Cardiff City Stadium as Cymru take on North Macedonia in our final 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier. And the new Cymru home kit is available to buy now in store or online at the exclusive retail partner JD Sports. Jamie, this is reminiscent of, and you can see in the bottom corner for everybody you can see online, bottom right-hand corner, that's the 1984 kit with the team. So it's reminiscent of that badge in the centre. I love it. I've ordered it already. Not cheap to have it personalised, 90 of your English pounds for a shirt, but I've ordered it because I think it's lovely. What do you make of it?
Well, first and foremost, I was just looking at that old picture and seeing some of them faces on there. Look at that. You got Neville Southall, Ian Rush, Joey's on there, Sparky's on there, Kevin Ratcliffe on the front, Mickey T.
Players.
Great picture, players. That is. Great picture. To be honest with you, I only saw this morning. I know it was yesterday. I think it was announced, wasn't it? But I only really saw it this morning. The first thing that came to my mind, and I was going to ask you and Daz this, obviously we know Daz, maybe you'll know the answer, but when did the last kit come out? Because it doesn't seem like that long ago that the last. Because I remember us talking about the more so the colour of the away kit when the like the yellow, isn't it? I remember us talking.
Yeah, the last one was kind of around the World Cup. It was for the World Cup in 2023, 24, whatever it was. It's probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. So I just it didn't seem that long ago that the old one came out. But
I mean, there has been a women's one that's come out, which is that kind of turquoisey, greeny one, the light colour one. But that's obviously an away kit. It's not a home kit. So this is the first brand new home kit in about 2 years.
Okay. I like it. I do like it. I saw a couple of comments online about the centralised badge. It's a very Marmite thing, that, isn't it? People seem to either love it or hate it. There doesn't seem to be an in between. I mean, my first kind of thought with the central badge was it reminded me of the conversation we had when the Wrexham home kit came out this season. That to me is how our home kit should be, with the badge and the manufacturer's badge central. I think that looks a lot better than if that Adidas logo was on the side. So I don't mind it when it's completely in the centre like that. I like it. I like the fact it's a little bit different. With the best will in the world, generally Wales home kits are red, and that's about it. There's not much you can do with it, is there?
No.
So the fact that there's a little bit of something different with the stripe, again, from some of the comments I saw online, I think the green stripe divides opinion a little bit. But yeah, I like it personally. I have to be honest, it's probably not something I would buy because I don't really buy Wales kits so much. And that price is just, don't
get me wrong. I didn't buy the World Cup one 2 years ago, which is why I've justified buying this one. If I'd have bought the World Cup one 2 years ago, I might have gone. I'll wait until
the thing is, in all seriousness, and just going back to the conversation we were having a minute ago, jokingly reminiscing about times gone by and stickers and stuff. The price of kits is just gone completely out of hand. The frequency that they're replaced, both international level and domestically, and the price of them is just getting out of hand. I mean, I always find it fascinating whenever there's a kit conversation, and some of our particularly like North American listeners and watchers, it's interesting because they always say that the price of our kits is a fraction compared to like what replica kits are for sports teams in like the States. And I think, oh Jesus, but like what's it, 90 quid for this?
90, well, to have it so it's 75 without having it personalised. I've had it personalised to have Welshtechie on the back and number 9, and that's an extra 15 quid.
Yeah, I don't know. Just even without the personalisation, it just seems like it's getting out of hand with the price of these kits, and like I say, on the frequency that they're replaced now. But look, at the end of the day, I think obviously if people can, if you can afford it, and I think if you're a kit person, obviously I know you've got a fair collection now of jerseys.
This one arrived. This replica arrived this week, which I've been waiting for a while. That's an absolute beaut. That one. That's a 19.
Oh, there you see.
93, I think that Wales 93. I think.
You see now, when the first thing that came to my mind when you showed me that was Mark Hughes. Just I don't know why.
Exactly.
The first player that came to mind. It's very similar to the Wrexham one you've got on.
It is, yeah. It is very, very similar, isn't it? It is, yeah. And yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. You see, I always look at Tim from Fearless because he is absolutely a shirt aficionado, and he's given this an 8 out of 10. He likes it, so that's good enough for me. But my only criticism of it is the Adidas logo is too big. The logo of the shirt maker should never be bigger than the logo of the badge. You see, look at the Wrexham one here. See, the badge is bigger than the Macron symbol, and that's as it should be. For me, the Adidas on this new shirt is a little bit too big, but I suppose that's me just picking holes in it, I think.
Oh, I get it. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. I mean, obviously, this would have had to be signed off by however many people. Like I say, for me, I think the fact that both the badges are centralised is the important bit, because it's the one thing I hate about our home kit is the fact that the Macron badge is off to the side. But no, it's nice. It'd be nice. Like I say, it's nice that it's a bit different. It's nice that it's a bit different. I'm just glad that they're like normal shirts now, because the last time I had a Wales shirt was when it was Christ, who was the manufacturer? Kappa, was it? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
And it was that skin tight.
Yeah.
And
I've got one of those here somewhere as well.
With the best will in the world. I mean, I've never been particularly slender, but I was a little bit more slender then. But talk about giving you a complex. That was the worst football shirt to wear ever. That was. But this is quite nice.
So Friday night, and we all parked our way down to the Stoke High Ras to meet the current league leaders Coventry City in the next game of the EFL Championship. And stand by for a lot of humble pie eating from me after my ranting last week. So that'll be coming at some point. Let's look at the lineup first of all. Jamie, 9 changes obviously from the Cardiff City defeat. Exactly what Parky said he was going to do. He was resting players, and he did. Out went Burton, Barnett, Cody, Thomason, Longman, Rathbone, Dobson, Smith, and Broadhead. In came Okonkwo, Hyam, Scar, Kabore, Kakache, Sheaf, Matty James, O'Brien, Windass, and more. When you, because both you and I were there Friday night, when you saw that that popped up on your phone an hour before, were you kind of thinking, okay, well, he's done exactly what he said on the tin. He's taken out all the players that maybe didn't do too well on Tuesday, and then put them in on Friday.
Yeah, I mean the lineup was pretty much as expected. In fact, I would say it was 99% what I expected. Obviously, with Brunt being injured and Doyle still being suspended, that back three was always just going to pick itself. The only slight question mark I had was in the centre there of the midfield, whether he'd go with, obviously was Sheaf fit, because there's been talk about him, his fitness. Would he go? Who would he pick between Sheaf, Matty James, O'Brien, and Thomason and Dobson, really. But I wasn't surprised that he went with those three. Obviously, the double pivot with the defensive midfield options of Sheaf and Matty James. It's a good looking pair, to be fair. They look well, playing well together. So yeah, no real surprises. I don't think it mattered. I don't think it really mattered who was in the starting lineup. It was just, you wanted that reaction, didn't you?
Well, we were dreading the worst, but to be honest with you, didn't get that because the both sides had chances early on. Josh Windass blazed well over before Liam Kitching headed Matt Grimes' in-swinging corner narrowly wide. Much of the frustration for the home fans, Lewis O'Brien opted against shooting after he was picked out by Windass as Wrexham competed well against the league leaders. I mean, we'll talk about this again in the Portsmouth game, and I think we should focus on that. But again, Lewis O'Brien did have a really good chance in the box, open, shot directly on goal. Do you feel it was kind of it was the goalkeeper who made the save, or Lewis O'Brien wasn't finding the spaces to actually get that ball in, considering he was 6 yards out?
I think that we should start a GoFundMe page to get Lewis O'Brien on Elliot Lee and Anthony Ford's holiday club football club to learn how to shoot properly. The scary I joke. The scary thing is we could probably look at pretty much every game he's played in this season. Certainly now we're up to half a dozen.
Yeah,
times where this has happened.
Yeah,
and hopefully, look. The most important thing is, as a midfielder, the most important thing is he's getting in those positions, because you would hope over time it'll come good and he'll score more than he misses. It's just frustrating at the minute that he's having these really big chances, really big, like game-changing chances, and missing them. And I have to say, I think other than the one against Southampton on the first game of the season, where I think when we spoke about that, for me that goes down as a good save, or a better, that's more of a save from the keeper than a miss by the attacker. The rest of them, he's got to do better. A player of his quality at the level he's played at, he's got to do better. And obviously, on this Coventry game, we started the game brilliantly. We were brilliant through the whole game. We started the game brilliantly, and when he had that chance and he missed, all I'm thinking of is we might regret that. And then, obviously, not long after that, we had that one moment of brilliance. Coventry. I said before the game last week, I'd not really seen them play, but they weren't. They're not where they are in the league by luck. They've been blowing teams away. They've been scoring goals for fun. But in fairness to us, I think we were just that good on Friday night. I think we made them look very ordinary and they struggled. But what they showed when they scored that first goal was they've got that quality, that little bit of quality and decisiveness, clinical. They had that, we missed that. Lewis O'Brien misses that golden opportunity, and then not long after that, we're 1-0 down because of a brilliant ball into the box and a great clinical finish. And at that point, you're thinking to yourself, "Yeah, shit, it's going to be one of them, is it?" But you know what? Credit where credit's due. I'm going to let you have your little rant in a minute, and you're eating your humble pie and apologising. And I know you posted something online, but I said to you, you said this to me in the stand about saying sorry on this week's pod, and I said you shouldn't, because everything that was said last week about the Cardiff game was absolutely justified. There were lots of fans who had opinions online. The other podcasts all said pretty much the same thing. We didn't say anything that was over the line, and I stand by everything I said and we said on the pod about that game. It's up to you if you want to retract any of it. That's your call.
No, not retract. I think I probably went a little bit. Again, I'm just too emotional. That's my problem. I don't have any problems with defeats at all, because that is the nature of football. You're not going to win every game. It was the manner of the performance that really upset me, because I felt that they were. Yeah. It was I felt it was an insult.
Yeah.
Now maybe that's a bit of an overreaction, but
no, not at all. I think, like I said, it was perfectly justified. But call it how it is, which I like to think we always try and do on here. That against Coventry was everything, and everybody involved was brilliant. I think it was the best 90 minutes of the season by some way.
And the first, Jamie, I think this is the first full 90-minute performance we've seen Wrexham do, because Wrexham have done first half good, second half bad, or first half bad, second half good. Yeah. I think this is the first full rounded 90 minutes I've seen all season. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. But I think it's worth, as much as we were quite critical of sort of lots of aspects against Cardiff, I think it's only fair to be positive about lots of elements of this game. First and foremost, the players, every single one of them on the pitch played really, really well in this Coventry game. I mean, the defensive three were brilliant. I mean, Dan Scarr, it's crazy. I mean, and obviously I know we're going to talk about the Portsmouth game in a minute, but it's a crazy thing to say, but Dan Scarr looks more comfortable at this level than he did at League One.
I was thinking that watching the Portsmouth game last night, funny enough.
Yeah, so that's maybe an unexpected bonus for Parky, in that obviously he brought Conor Cody in and he's so far proven to be a bit of a disaster. But maybe this player that potentially was a little bit written off and possibly on his way out of the door, but has ended up staying, might actually, I know it's only been a couple of games, but it might actually turn out to be a real jewel. Max, I wouldn't say he's setting the world alight, but what he's doing is every game he is learning more and more about this level. And he's not getting caught out an awful lot. And I think it's all experience, isn't it? As he's grown and as he's gained experience as we've gone through the divisions, it's the same with this one, but this is a bigger step. But to me, he's holding his own. And Dom Heim is, I mean, what a Rolls Royce of a defender. Nothing spectacular, nothing spectacular, nothing flashy, but he's reliable, he's dependable, he reads the game, he's always in the right positions, he puts his body where it needs to be. And I think obviously we've got Doyle there who's now available again. So I'm less worried about the kind of back three than I was a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I thought they were brilliant. The wing backs, we've talked about it, and I know a lot of other fans talk about it as well. But we've spoke quite at length about how crucial the wing backs' performances are to this system that we play. Whatever version of the system we play, the wing backs are so crucial to it. And I think, as we've all kind of hoped, Kabore and Kakache are the best we have available by a mile on those two sides.
Yeah.
And I think they make a massive difference to how this team looks going forward and going back. The real crazy thing in this Coventry game was, and I said to you that, in the game, I actually thought their final ball on Friday was actually quite poor over the course of the game. Their final ball into the box generally was quite poor. Because I said during the game that if they could improve on this, that's a whole other level again. But they just offer so much natural balance to the way this team plays in both directions, and they are the best version of wing backs that we've got. And then Sheaf again is. I just hope we can keep him fit. I think he is every bit that quality player that all the Coventry fans were talking about. He's got such a good reading of the game, the way he reads the game, the way he breaks play up, the way he picks passes out. He's brilliant, and I just hope we can keep him fit, because I think he's going to be quite integral as we go forward. I think credit where it's due to Matty James. I think he's playing his part as well, albeit he is at the back end of his career. But he's doing well. I thought Lewis O'Brien came back to more the Lewis O'Brien that we'd seen earlier in the season, and then obviously Windass and Moore were just on another level. Certainly in that second half, weren't they? Just on another level.
Well, obviously, first half, Wrexham, were punished for that Lewis O'Brien miss. Just a few minutes later, Sakamoto's lofted ball over the top completely played the defence flat-footed. Matt did a review on it, as he does in-depth reviews. And again, I've said it before, say it again. If you get a chance to go and look at his reviews, go and look at them, because he pulls each play apart. And basically, it's Kabore basically asleep, just not marking his man and not tracking him. But in goes Mason Clark, pretty much open. He's onside, catches it perfectly on his own. Is there some criticism for Arthur on this one, or do you kind of go, no, he's one-on-one with the keeper? Not a lot he can do, really. Not for me. I don't think Arthur could do an awful lot. Like I said before, I think it's worth saying that Sakamoto was absolutely unbelievable. Love to get your hands on him.
Yeah, what a player. I mean, overall, I thought Coventry were pretty average. And I think again, credit to their fans. Most of what I saw online afterwards, they were all saying, to be fair, Wrexham deserve to win, which is unusual because we don't, we know what we normally hear is, shitty side we played or lost to the shitty side ever. So to hear that was refreshing. But credit where it's due, that Sakamoto was brilliant. I mean, obviously his assist for their first goal, his finish for that second goal, which I didn't realise how good of a finish that was until I watched it back.
Yeah.
But he was brilliant. But no, I don't really blame Arthur for that. It was like I said before, for me it was a little bit of a slap in the face of how the fact they have got quality and that they've been very clinical. And it did feel when we went 1-0 down at that point, certainly after O'Brien missing, and then when we went in at half time 1-0 down, you felt hard done by, to be fair, because we were by far the better team. But absolutely, you did have that feeling of, oh God, here we go again. We're gonna get punished for missing or not taking our chances.
Well, second half, Max Cleworth had a left-footed pile driver which flew just wide 5 minutes into the second half, and you were next to me, and we were sitting right behind this, and you were following it all the way in. You thought it was in, didn't you?
Yeah, like a tit. I jumped up about 6 foot in the air because I literally, like as you say, I was sat directly behind it, and I thought as soon as it left his foot, I thought it was in. And yeah, what a strike that was, and we know Max has got that in his locker. We've seen him score goals like that before. So that kind of set the tone for the half. I'd be very interested to know what Parky said to them at half time, because I think it must be difficult as a coach, as a manager, when your team's played so well in the first half. It must be really difficult at half time because, like you were saying before about, a lot of the time we played poor in the first half and better in the second half. If you've played poor in the first half, you've got lots of things you can lay into as such, or if you want to say it, be constructive over. But I suppose it must be really challenging trying to motivate your team to go out and play as well as you have in the first half, without sending them out being complacent or feeling overconfident. But yeah, that max effort set the tone for the half, didn't it? And then it just,
Well, Coventry grew increasingly reliant on counter-attacks, as evidenced by Haji Wright's shot, which trickled wide from a narrow angle. But Wrexham's pressure told in the 60th minute. Issa Kabore fed Windass, who crossed for more to send the ball beyond Rushworth from 6 yards out. 9 minutes later, Windass again lifted a cross into the box, with Moore steering a header into the bottom corner to make it 2-1. And we've said in the past week, haven't we, that yes, he scored that header against Cardiff, but they've also been headers in previous games which he's missed. That one looked, even though it wasn't, when you actually watch it back, where he put it was in like a cigarette paper slither past the keeper's right hand side, but it was a beautifully taken header, that one, straight into that kind of that area where it needed to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's not enough kind of positives you can say about Moore and Windass in that second half. When Windass, we knew what we were getting. We knew his quality and his potential. We've seen it for years in the Championship, and I think we were all kind of in agreement how big of a deal of a signing it was. And he started the season brilliant. And I think, like maybe you called out last week, probably been nursing injuries, because we know he's had the ankle problem and knee as well. But I think he started the season well, but he's been a little bit anonymous in the last few games, to be honest. And the problem is that, when you've got a creative player that's pretty much given a free license like he is, you need that player to produce. And like I say, he's been a bit lacking in recent games, but in this game and in the second half in particular, I mean, him and Kiefer Moore were just like they were on like telepathy between the two of them. You can't ask any more than you from your front two. I mean, okay, I know they're not necessarily a conventional front two, but let's call them a front two. But Windass, and he said after the game, he's played with Kiefer Moore before. He knows his game inside out, and he knows that if he puts the ball in a certain area, that Kiefer Moore's going to be there. whether that's true or not, I don't know how much precision he was put in to think, oh, if I put this ball in that area, keeper's going to be there. But either way,
I think it was. I think he was just. I think the stars online, and obviously, as it's been said many times, they did play together at Wigan, so they know each other. I mean, 83 minutes. Windass again teed up more, and this for me, I think this was the best goal of the three for me. The third goal, Windass teed up for more, rifle a left-footed shot to be on rush with, and this was a cute angle, far post. There wasn't a lot of meat to be able to get in there, but he hit absolutely the perfect sweet spot to get what is officially the perfect hat trick, isn't it? Because it's left foot, right foot header.
Yeah.
Hat trick. So he's got it.
Well, like we were saying before about my ghost celebration with to Max's effort, I didn't really celebrate when this went in because I thought he'd hit it in the side net and it was that close to the side of the goal. Because I sort of so I realised everybody else is cheering. But no, I mean, like you say, there's nothing sweeter than seeing a perfect hat trick. I mean, I don't think none of the three goals were like spectacular goal of the season contenders, but the first goal, was if you look at it, you kind of technically you think to yourself, why have you not gone for it with your other foot? Why have you gone for it with your right foot? But it doesn't matter. He's made the call to go with it with whatever foot, and it's worked because it's gone in the back of the net. Like you say, the header was very precise, and then I agree with you. That third goal was the best of the three. But like I say, there's nothing better than a perfect hat trick. I'm just thrilled for him. I know he's had a lot of praise since he's been at Wrexham. Because I think in a lot of the rest of his career, and arguably for Wales as well, I think he's pigeonholed as a bit of a donkey and a bit of a. A bit of a target man. And
you don't score as many goals as he does by being a donkey. It's not at this level. It's not possible.
But like we said a few weeks ago, I think he's really flourishing being in a team now where in the past he's maybe been plan B for most of the teams he's played for. Whereas for us, he literally is the focal point of the way we play.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know whether you've seen, but this Wrexham podcast this week, they've got Stephen Fletcher on. And Stephen Fletcher says, if any player is set up for the Wrexham team, it's Kiefer Moore. Because Fletcher said, Kiefer Moore reminds me of me. He said, put it in the box. He will make a nuisance and he'll get the ball in the goal. And if Wrexham have got any sense, that's exactly what they should be doing. Because that's what they did for me. And that's why I scored so many vital goals. It's come from Stephen Fletcher. So, that's as good as Jesus saying it. Let's be honest.
There's a debate in itself, isn't it? Which I know you and I have had privately about the fact that
he should never have been released.
I think Stephen Fletcher would still be a massive weapon in this squad.
Absolutely. More than Dom Hyam, as you said earlier to me. More than Dom Hyam for me, definitely. I know he scored that fantastic wonder goal in the cup, but
yeah, I think Fletcher would be. I think he'd be a real. He'd be really good in this team and in this squad.
Well, imagine if you had Kiefer Moore doing what he's doing now, and then instead of you bringing Sam Smith on, you bring Stephen Fletcher on for that 10 minutes.
The problem is, I agree with you, but the problem with that is, or the only thing that I've got to be fair to that is, I'm not saying you're suggesting this, but that sounded a little bit unfair to Sam Smith. But I know that's not what you're suggesting. Like I said last week or the week before, I think we're letting Sam Smith down as in
Wrexham
the way
play a game. Wrexham play a game that suits a player like Kiefer Moore. Big, tall, very physical, but very static to receive the ball. A proper old number 9, as John Hartson used to be and play for Wales. He'd be the target man who would get the ball, he would physically hold it and keep everybody off, and then push it through to somebody who was going to run on and do everything else with it. That's what although Kiefer Moore scores a lot of goals, that's what he primarily does. He's a botherer, and you see it time and time again. Sam Smith is not a player. He's more of a busy number 9 going around. Going around forward doing his thing. Stephen Fletcher is more of a Kiefer Moore player, and that's what I'm saying.
Just to pick up on when you mentioned about Fletcher before, it wasn't Dom Heim we were talking about. We were talking about Connor Cody, not Dom Heim.
Yeah,
you said Dom Heim. What we were talking about when we were talking about Fletcher was we would have rather have kept Fletcher and not spent the money on Connor Cody, and that's not being overly rude to Connor Cody, but just to pick up on that because
absolutely. Before he goes, has he completely lost the plot? Because Dom Heim is a fantastic guy. Yeah, you're right.
Swapping for the will, but no, I mean, look, I think the most important thing for this was we got a reaction. We wanted to see a reaction. We got a perfect reaction, not just because we beat the unbeaten league leaders, but we thoroughly deserved the win. We played brilliantly for 90 minutes. I think the scoreline flattered them a little bit, if I'm being honest with you, because I don't think that I thought the gap should have been bigger. You can't ask any more of your striker scoring a hat trick. You can't ask any more of the player playing off him with 3 assists. The rest of the team were brilliant. I think the only other thing which I wanted to sort of mention from this game, which I said to you as we were walking out of the ground, and interestingly, it's been a topic for, I know the other pods have talked about it, and obviously Rob Mack put like a tweet out which kind of suggested something towards it, which was the crowd. I asked you as we were leaving, because obviously I've not been fortunate enough to be able to go to many home games this season. But I said to you, that felt to me like the best home atmosphere that we've had this season by a long way. And I think going back to what I was saying before about calling out, everybody for playing their part, players all stepped up. Parky, credit where it's due. Although there's still the debate over his team selection against Cardiff and what he did against Cardiff, and that's kind of okay. I'm not going to forget it, but it's in the past. Let's kind of move on from it. But whatever he did, whatever he said to these players, the way he's asked them to play, the way he set them up, they've gone out and done it. But the fans as well, I think the crowd as well, very much deserve a mention for Friday night, because even at 1-0 down at halftime, there was never any disgruntlement or anything like that. It was nothing but support from start to finish. The atmosphere was brilliant, and sections of the crowd have come under criticism at early part of the season for lack of atmosphere and everything else. I think, to be fair, they more than played their part on Friday night, and I think everybody deserved the victory. Everybody deserved that 3 points, and it was the perfect response to that Cardiff game.
And Kevin Moore's hat-trick, first hat-trick in the Championship by a Wrexham player since, Jamie, do you want to make a guess?
Dixie?
No, it was Mick Vinter in 1982 against Rotherham United. So yeah, we haven't had to wait long, have we, for a Championship hat trick? Let's be honest. But yeah, so yeah, great night. Well done, Wrexham. Perfect answer to grumpy podcasters like myself who are basically blaming you for everything, ruining their entire life, etc., and so on. Don't
do it. Don't do it.
All right,
don't
fine.
Apologize.
I won't do it. But brilliant, Wrexham, and exactly what was needed. 2 days later, and we all picked up our tents and moved to the Globe in Buckley to see Wrexham Women take on TNS Women in the return fixture in this year's Gennaro Adran League. Line up first, Jamie versus TNS. There are 2 changes from the Aberystwyth game. Abby Idenden came in for Rosie Hughes. Well, it wouldn't be a pod if I didn't mess it up.
Yeah, but that's a first. That's the first time you've messed up Abby.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Abby.
So Abby for Rosie and Hannah Snape in for Phoebe Davis. I don't know how much of this match you managed to see. You probably just saw the highlights, I would imagine. I mean, again, we're now starting, as I said before, we're now starting to get a core, I think, of players. I think Jenny Sugarman now has her core of, she knows who to rely on. We're getting the same back 3. We're getting very similar players on the playing up front, or even playing a back 4, of course. So yeah, it's there, isn't it? From that point of view. So, I mean, it's good to see, is it? There's finally a solidity there, isn't there, from a point of view of the selection?
Yeah, I think because I know we've talked in previous weeks about, or certainly the earlier games of the season, about the frequency of the rotation of players and tactics. But I think when you look back, I think you have to remember that this was all done very late. She came in late. A lot of the players were very late. There wasn't a great deal of proper pre-season or anything like that. So I think the first couple of games, there was an element of still learning about players and about what they can do, what they can't do, etc., etc. But yeah, you're right. I think the last couple of games, she seems to now I want to be careful how I say this, because it kind of contradicts something I said a couple of weeks ago, and I still firmly believe that that's correct, which is I do honestly think that Jenny Sugarman is a very, very clever coach.
Yeah.
And I think is showing us that she's got the tactical, very good tactical knowledge, because what she's doing is she's amending and she's altering formation, personnel, playing style based on the opposition we're playing, rather than just saying, this is how I play and this is what I'm going to stick to regardless. She's happy to be flexible. And the key to that is making sure you've got, from the players you can pick from, making sure that you've got the players that you can cover whichever variation of your tactics you want to deploy on a given week. And she seems to be finding that now, but the changes now are getting less and less every week. Like you just said, the core is kind of staying consistent, which is important, because as much as tweaking tactics and personnel is vital based on your opponent, you have to try and keep this spine and this consistency, and she's starting to do that. And I think, in fairness, some of these players are making it very easy for her anyway, because they're playing so well, and making it hard to leave them out. But yeah, no issues with that starting lineup. Regardless of whoever's in it, I think everyone she's got available in her squad are all contributing something.
And if those of you are interested, I do Moonlight now on a pod full-time with Del Morgan alongside Matt from Racecourse Ramble. Jamie obviously watches it because he's shaking his head. Can't bear to get... He has to have enough of me.
Scab.
Well, it's just good fun, because I don't have to plan it. Matt plans it all. I just have to turn up and talk bollocks, which
where was my invite? Where was Daz's invite?
You don't watch the games. You just said yourself.
Where was Daz's invite? He is our resident expert in women's goalkeeping.
He doesn't watch. Well, I can't put him on the same program as Del Morgan. They'll have a fight.
Why would you not have him alongside Del Morgan? Why wouldn't you do that?
It would be funny.
No.
Watching Daz squirm, that'd be hilarious.
In all seriousness, I did watch your pod, and it was very good. Great idea by Matt to do a women's specific podcast. I know he touches on the women's, and to be fair, the other pods do mention the women as well. Obviously, we talk about, you and Daz talk about it a little bit. I don't really have a lot of clue when it comes to the women's stuff, because I struggle to watch the game. But it's a great idea to have dedicated, and the fact that obviously I know you're quite... Be careful how I say this. I was going to say you're quite into women, but to be fair to you, you are very knowledgeable on the women's side, and you do go and watch them a lot. And you couldn't ask for anyone better to be a part of it than Del, could you? So brilliant idea, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, I'll look forward to future episodes. Yeah.
I think that's coming out every Monday or every Tuesday, I think, and yeah, so look out for that from Matt. Racecourse Ramble. Anyway, back to this game. This was always going to be a tough one, because TNS have got some very, very good players. They're a very, very decent side from that point of view. Open exchanges proved quite cagey, to be honest. Moment of magic, though, just after 16 minutes, found the breakthrough. Abby Indenden and Lily Jones, did fantastically well for link-up play. Again, if you've seen the highlights, you wouldn't have seen any of the things I'm about to talk about, because it was cut together so badly.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, to be honest with you, before you start asking me questions about this, I've seen the highlights, but I also listened to your pod and listened to the fact that you said that they cut out so many key incidents that it didn't really show a good reflection of the game. So I was very much going to throw it back to you and kind of pick up on what you'd already said about this game on the other pod, to be honest with you.
Well, Katie Barker's first goal, it's a fantastic goal, don't get me wrong, and she obviously takes the pass, beats the offside trap, beats the defence, goes one-on-one with the keeper and slots it into the goal fantastically. But it's the pass from Lily Jones that makes it, and it wasn't even on the highlights reel. You didn't see that bit. So, yeah, I mean, again though, I mean, Katie Barker, how many plaudits can we give her? She is scoring for fun at the moment. She's scoring in every game, at least one. Scored 3 versus Aberystwyth. I mean, she is an out and out.
I go back really to the question I asked. I think I asked Daz last week when we were talking about the women's game. Katie Barker, Maz Mahmood, what's her first name? Jodie Bartle.
Bartle, yeah.
Yeah, those 3 in particular. I would love to have heard the conversations that took place to get those guys to come to Wrexham, because with the greatest respect to the league, they to me they seem far better than this level. And I think I bow to what your opinion and the fact that you think obviously it's a combination of Jenny Sugarman and the carrot of European football. But like you say, what can you say? I mean, the bits and pieces I've seen of the women this season, with Katie Barker in particular, there've been times where I've been quite frustrated with her because she's quite, and I don't mean this to sound disrespectful, but she's quite selfish, and that's actually not a criticism, right? I would use that term when talking about some quite famous footballers. Lee Trundle was selfish. Yeah. Alan Shearer was selfish. It's not a criticism; it's actually a compliment, and they were successful because they were selfish. But
Ian Rush was one of the worst. He was selfish.
Rush another one. To be honest with you, most strikers are selfish because they have to be. It's ingrained into them. But it must be frustrating. Or it is frustrating. I know when I've played football, it is frustrating when you've got somebody, but it's ingrained in their way of playing. But she when the bits I've seen, she scored a lot of goals, but she's missed a lot of chances as well. But the crucial thing is that how frequently she's getting in those positions. What I think is really incredible about the bits I've seen of her is how she reminds me a little bit of something that we used to talk about with Paul Mullin back in the National League and League Two, in the sense of she, like he could, is very, very good at creating her own chances. Yes, the team are very much playing to her strengths and creating chances for her, but she's also incredibly creative and able to create her own chances. It'll be fascinating to see how she ends the season, how many goals she ends the season with, because she just seems to be on another level at the minute to a lot of other people in this league. I mean, the thing that I was going to ask you more than anything about this game, because from what I read about it, we won 2-0, great, it's a victory. But from what I kind of heard or read about it, the suggestion was that we weren't necessarily at our best, that we'd seen maybe in recent weeks. Is that the case? Did we? I don't think it's that we weren't at our best. I think TNS are a tough side. They're a tough side. They're not a Pontypridd United. They're not. They are. I think they're going to finish 4th. I really do. I think they're going to have enough to be able to beat off the challenges of Britain Ferry Llansawel, who are currently kind of vying for them for that 4th spot. They've got some great players, and they've got some very strong physical players. Katie Barker almost made it 2 goals after 28 minutes. Maz Mahmood found Barker following some impressive footwork, but her effort was blocked. And then, for some reason, I think then TNS kind of woke up and thought, we need to get back into this. And they nearly did. There was some... Phoebe Davis lost the ball on the edge of the box,
we were in transition. They got down the side. They passed the ball in. And Caitlin Chapman basically top of her head, hit the top of her head and it's looped over to the far side. Now, we've seen those go in. We've seen them go in so many times. And it looped, thankfully, and hit the crossbar and came out and was cleared. So, probably for the last 10 minutes of the first half, TNS were on it. And they could have scored there quite easily and it would have gone in 1-1. But I think that would have been unfortunate because Wrexham were fairly dominant for the first 30, 35 minutes of that first half, which was a great shame. What
was the main difference then between this game and the 4-2 game that we lost? What was only really a few weeks ago, wasn't it? What was the main difference between them?
Wrexham didn't turn up at that first game at all until probably halfway through the second half, and by that point, TNS had already scored 2 goals. They're already 2-0 up. And that's why we got back a little bit, and then they creeped forward again. So it was a 4-2 loss. I think by then it was just, and I think as well, Jenny was tinkering a little bit. She changed to a back 4. She'd put some players in who hadn't been playing for a while, trying to feel out what the best starting 11 is, which she's got to do because once you're in the league, it's very difficult to get. As I say, although apparently they have been having friendlies behind closed doors, it's very difficult to give players who aren't in that normal starting 11 minutes. So I think it was just a case of, and the fact that TNS were at home maybe made a little difference, but not a huge amount. But yeah, I think that's probably what it was. I think we just didn't start well. We weren't at the races for a good 45 minutes, and by the time we did get up to speed, the damage was done. Second half, then, it was TNS came out much stronger in the second half. I think the manager had a word with them and said, "Listen, they're bossing you here. You need to be a bit more physical," which is exactly what they did. And they were a lot more physical, to the point where we were a little bit on the back foot for some of the time, particularly at the very, very beginning. I mean, Maz continued impressive work on the pitch after the interval, forcing Mackenzie Hayden-Jones into a good save before a later shot from Wrexham's number 11 struck the post on 49 minutes. Kay Baker then fired a strike against the bar for TNS 5 minutes after that. The kind of controversial bit, which wasn't on the highlights at all, again, I don't know. I understand it because there may be Wrexham highlights, but it was the important part was that a TNS player had got the jump on the defence because the defence was playing quite high, was bearing down on the area, the penalty area. Lizzie Craven came out, went to sweep the ball clear, missed the ball, took the player. Straight away, I was convinced it was going to be a red. I thought this is a red every day long, and was quite shocked to see the referee brandishing a yellow. And the reason behind it, apparently, was that the ball, the player was not in control of the ball. The player had pushed the ball beyond Lizzie Craven. So it's because it's outside the box, it's considered to be a non-violent foul without the ball under control. So therefore, it's a yellow. As a player maybe would tackle a player. I mean, I don't know whether you've probably not seen it at all, have you, Jim? No.
No,
I mean, honestly,
to be honest with you, I was quite interested in your conversation about this on the other pod. But obviously, the second that you mentioned it had been cut from the highlights, I was like, well, I got no chance of finding that.
No, I mean, what was telling was that on the pod, we talked about it. And it was said that the only red card that she'd ever had was for that exact same move. She did exactly the same thing. She came out, she went to sweep the ball, missed the ball, took the player, and was given a red. Well, I get the feeling that kind of 99 times out of 100 the ref would give a red. I would imagine. Again, that would probably have changed the game quite dramatically because Chloe Ankers would have had to have come in. We would have had to lose a player. We probably would have lost, I would imagine, Abby Idenden, I would think. Although she plays midfield, so maybe you'd lose a forward. I'd be tempted to keep Katie Barker on, so maybe you'd lose Maz. Because she's kind of up there. I don't know. It would have changed the game dramatically, to say the least. But we were lucky there.
So forget forget the kind of official rule book. Did you think it was a red?
I thought it was a red. Yeah, absolutely. Because she missed the ball completely and went through the player and took the player out 1-on-1. So and apparently there were Wrexham defenders who were just getting around rather than getting around the back, but obviously thinking about if she was going to round the keeper to try and cut off the ball.
I mean, it sounds a little bit based on what you're saying here tonight, and obviously from the conversation you had about it on the other pod with Del and that. I think it sounds a little bit like we got away with one there, but
oh yeah,
it comes back down to that thing, doesn't it? We've talked at length before about the standard of referee. Well, I mean, Christ, we talk about the standard of refereeing, men's, women, and everything, but we've talked about the standard of refereeing in the Adran Prem and how sketchy it is. It swings and roundabouts, isn't it? There's been decisions earlier in the season. I mean, the one that springs to mind is, it was one of the early games at the start of the season where a Wrexham player was taken out. I can't remember what game it was in now. I can't even remember who it was. But there was an instant in the game where a Wrexham player was taken out and we all thought red card, and it wasn't given as a red card. So I think it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? These decisions. It's what, as much as in the moment I get as frustrated as everybody else when a ref makes what looks to be a poor decision. In the cold light of day, I can very often sort of take a step back and think, do you know what? They even themselves out over the course of a season. I genuinely think that's the case. But yeah, by the sounds of it, we got away with one there. But either way, good result. Good result.
I mean, we were 1-0 up. On came Faye Knox. She's made 3 substitute appearances since she signed for the club. She made a crucial impact after replacing Abby on 68 minutes. 12 minutes later, in told the impact to come when she picked up a ball from Ava Suckley. So it was a rebound from the keeper and fired it home to the bottom left. Again, perfect postage stamp, right to the right of the keeper, in the corner, right in the corner, virtually unsavable. Gave us fantastic breathing space, and from then on, we were comfortable with 2-0 and we played it out. Picture there, actually, Jamie. If you look at the bottom left picture, that's the moment. That's the moment. So you can see where the ball is, and you can see where the player is, and you can see where Liz is. And she basically followed through from that and missed the ball and took the player.
Sorry, I just realised as I leant forward to look at that, everybody that's watching just gets a view of my massive forehead. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, obviously with it being a still, it's hard, isn't it? But I ultimately, I can understand, with that, you would assume that because she has come out to attempt to clear that, you'd assume that there's not a defender reasonably close. So the fact that she's completely missed the ball there and got the player, I can totally understand why you thought, why you would think red.
I did.
Yeah, interesting. Why that wasn't given. But like I say, swings and roundabouts. I suppose let's take the positive decision in our favour. But yeah, Knox coming on and contributing as well. Again, it just feeds back into.
She's kind of gone a little bit under the radar, hasn't she? Because she kind of came in on deadline day. Signed ex-Welsh international. Has played together with Lily Jones before. But she's come on the 3, and I have to be honest, the 3 times she has come on as a substitute, I've been impressed because she's done what she needed to do. She's been solid in the middle of the park. She's been, and this shot was fantastic.
And the thing is, as a coach or a manager, that's what you want, isn't it? You want to be in a situation where you can look to your bench and you've got players that can come on and contribute, change a game. If you think back to the very start of the season for the men's team, we had a conversation, that Southampton team about, our starting 11 was brilliant, but we were very light on the bench, and with the greatest respect, you didn't really have a lot on that bench that could come on and change a game. And that's what, football's very different now to how it used to be. Football used to be very much about 1 to 11 and a couple of subs. I mean, Christ, I remember the days when you used to only have 3 subs, as in, it was a three sub bench, and then it went to 5 and stuff like that. But the game has changed so much now, and it is very much a squad game. It's not just about the first 11 that's on the pitch. It's very much about, right, this is happening on the pitch. What have I got available to me on the bench that I can bring on to change this, to influence a game, to get a goal back, to defend the lead, whatever it might be. So at any level, which is no different. It's no different for Jenny Sugarman with the women's team here. Having players that you can bring on that can have an impact on the game, and ultimately she's come on and scored a goal, which is sort of sealed the victory for us. Because I suppose at that point it's 1-0. By the sounds of it, TNS weren't out of reach, or it's not like we were outplaying them, but just couldn't score the goals. So coming on and scoring that second goal probably made quite a big difference all round. Probably their heads dropped down a little bit, and from our perspective, it gave us that little bit of breathing space to go and see the game out. But like I say, it's good to have those options.
Well, Wrexham finished the week still joint first on goal difference with Cardiff, with Swansea 1 point behind us. But we have now increased the lead to 4th. So, I mean, Jamie, this pretty much seals it now that barring an absolute disaster, we're going to finish in the top 4. So we're going to finish phase 1 in the top half. What's the kind of motivation from now on? You're thinking, okay, we're safe now. We're safe in that top 4. What's the motivation do you think Jenny's got now for the players for the remaining 6 games that are left in this half?
Easy. The motivation is the league, isn't it? But we okay. There's still a long way to go, so let's be sensible about it. But this feels very much the men's team in the National League, the Notts County season. Where because of the way that league is constructed, and this is slightly different. This is more from the perspective of, because you've got really Cardiff, who are like head and shoulders, and Swansea, who are kind of up there, mainly because of Cardiff. If you have got aspirations of winning this league, you can't afford to drop points. It was the same with the men in the National League. In League 2, League 1, and in Championship, as we've talked about before. There's so little, there's so few points between like a relegation battle and a playoff battle. You can afford to have a couple of games where you drop points, and you're not going to lose too much touch. When we were in the National League, a draw felt like a defeat, and it's this for this season in particular. This very much what this feels like with this. Like you say, barring a catastrophe, we're pretty much safe in the top 4, which is great. Excuse me, but as I said last week, I think because of the way this league splits, and because of the fact that the points continue from what you've gathered in the first half, I think if we have got aspirations of really genuinely trying to win this league, it's crucial that we stick with Cardiff. And I think Daz asked the question last week, and we talked about it. This season, as it's looking at the moment, it very may well come down to the results between Wrexham and Cardiff. So I think the motivation is keep winning, and stay up there with them, and try and score as many goals as you can. Without being disrespectful to Pontypridd and some of the other teams. If there's opportunities to go and win 4, 5, 6, score 4, 5, 6 goals, go and do it, because Cardiff are doing it, and that's why they've got a bigger goal difference. Keep going, keep playing like you are. She doesn't seem the type that's gonna get complacent or let the players get complacent. She seems the sort that will keep on them and keep on top of them to keep pushing and keep trying to grind out these results. Just got to keep going as they are. One thing I did want to say about the women's team was interesting listening to the Wrexham podcast, the official Wrexham podcast, which to be fair, it is a good listen or watch. But then again, when you've got access to the A list, it's going to be, isn't it? But obviously, the Mike Williamson one, they talked a little bit about the women's side of things, and I think it's worth just mentioning. Obviously, not that long ago, we were talking about the women's side, and I think we all kind of agreed. It felt a little bit like it was being, as a project, was being put on the back burner a little bit, and that it was maybe other things were taking priority. And I think credit where it's due to the club. They've really revved up. Really revved up in the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks of trying to, bring the women's project back to the forefront again. When you look at purchase of the Rock, and obviously God knows how much they're spending on it, but by the sounds of it, they're having to do quite a bit of work to it to bring it up to a good standard. So obviously the money they're investing in that, the fact that they've attracted a coach like Jenny Sugarman, and from what we're seeing that she produces, and from what more you hear about her, and what that feels more and more like a massive coup every day. And then you look at some of the players she's brought in. You look at the director of women's football that they've just added. That's a significant appointment. That is.
Yes.
So like I say, credit where it's due. From not that long ago, where from the outside looking in, it felt like it had been put on the back burner a little bit as a project. They really have kind of ramped up the focus on it again. So it's nice to see. It's good to see, because it the women's side went on the same or a similar journey to the men's side when we were on the sort of National League side, and it felt a little bit sad that it seemed to be kind of like falling away, or not being deemed as important or as important. But they very much seem to have brought it back to the forefront. So fair play.
And to those of you watching on YouTube, the top right photo there, behind Katie Barker taking the shot, there's Humphrey Carr watching, because he was at the game on Sunday with his good lady wife. So,
sorry, forehead again.
So Wednesday, and all the way to the south coast for a bonfire night game. Penny for the guy against Portsmouth down at Fratton Park. Lineup first, no changes in the starting lineup. Jamie, were you a bit surprised maybe not to see Doyle back in there, considering that he was now available after his suspension?
Yes and no. A little bit surprised, because, like I say, it's for the fact that he was available again, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Even though he hasn't necessarily set the world on fire so far, big money signing, got a lot of kind of pressure, a lot of potential. Naturally left-sided. However, the other part of me wasn't surprised, because, like I said before, the back three I thought were brilliant against Coventry. And one thing generally that we know about Parky is that he kind of, if he can, he won't change a winning or well performing setup. So I can understand why he left it as it was. And the challenge there now is for Doyle, isn't it? You can, a little bit like with Broadhead, you can put the price tag on it all you want, and you can say about, he's got all the potential in the world, and he's this and he's that and the other. But you've got to earn it. You can't just be expected to be given a place because you paid £8 million, or because you potentially this or that or the other. The challenge now is there for him to get back into that team.
Well, quite a tough night down at Fratton Park for Wrexham. Wrexham started well, and took it to Portsmouth for some parts of the first half. Although Portsmouth started off super fast, you could tell they'd been told basically they had 7 changes, and the manager basically said, go out there and make a difference. Their fans were very loud, lots of energy. The team seemed to have lots of energy. They pressed like crazy. They were running us down. At times we found it difficult, but ironically, again, we talked about him earlier. Lewis Bryan had a chance one-on-one with the keeper, could have put us 1-0 up, blew it. And as you said earlier, he's had at least half a dozen chances. I mean, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do with some of those?
I think, before I answer that, I think what I found interesting about this game was I saw a few people comment after this game saying they didn't think it was a very good game. I actually thought it was a really good game. I thought it was a brilliant game. Okay, it was 0-0, and it's always good to see goals, but I thought it was a brilliant game. And the other thing which I just wanted to mention was the travelling fans.
700 and something, I think, went down. Which
we joke about flop reds and top reds and all this jazz, but every single one of them that made that trip to do what a 9-10 hour round journey on a Wednesday night, bonfire night, fair play, absolute fair play. And you could hear them. Granted, Fratton Park is a very, very hostile. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's a very hostile kind of atmospheric ground. So the fact that the Wrexham fans were still holding their own as much as they could, credit where it's due. Lewis O'Brien. What do you do? I know I joked before about getting him on a shooting course. I am totally joking. I mean, what you do is nothing. You keep asking him to make those runs. You keep asking him to get in those positions. And what hopefully will happen is over time, somebody of his ability, because he clearly has. He is a brilliant footballer. You know, he showed us at the start of the season why he was at a Premier League club, why he was so highly regarded when he was playing at Swansea. He's an all-action midfielder. I can understand why he was maybe taken out of the team for a couple of games recently, because I think because he is so all-action and he covers every blade of grass, even the most physically fit athlete is going to burn out playing like that, like he does. So I think there will be occasions through the season where he's possibly just given a break. But against Coventry, he was back to his best, and he was all right in this game. Yeah, what do you do to answer your question? I don't think you do anything, because the important thing is that he's getting in those positions. Because for us to play the way we do, where we've got this focal point of Kiefer Moore, and he is the tip of the tree, and you've got then Windass, who is the creative one playing off him. But for that setup to work, and we said this in previous seasons, we saw it from Elliot Lee in the National League, League 2 days more so. But you need that midfielder, that dynamic midfielder that's going to break the lines and join the attacking side of things and contribute with chances, with assists, and with goals. And the important thing is that he's doing that. He's getting in those positions. Look, it is frustrating. It is frustrating when you look back at the season so far, and what is it, 12, 13 games, and like you said, he's had half a dozen of these now, home and away, where he's been on pretty much one-on-one situations. And like I said before, other than the Southampton one, where I put that down more to a good save than a bad miss, the others really, he should be doing better. He'll know that. But I think if you're coaching him, I don't think you really want to offer too much criticism. You want to keep telling him to keep doing the same thing, getting in those positions, and hopefully in time it'll switch and he'll start putting more away. I mean, the amount of chances that he's had, like good one-on-one chances, and the positions he gets himself into, there's no reason why he can't be contributing double figures in a season.
Something's going to stick at some point, isn't it? Something's going to stick at some point.
Yeah.
You know, if you get enough chances, something's going to stick. And you'll just need that one important goal that's going, make the difference. Maybe not now, but later in the season when it really could matter, where we need a result. I'm sure
there'll be no one more frustrated than him.
Oh, you could see it when he missed that one. When he missed that one on Wednesday, he's head to the heavens and he's screaming. He knows. He knows. Hopefully, what you've just said there is a great point. Hopefully, when we get to the latter part of the season, he's still getting those chances. He's still getting in those positions, and hopefully, he's more clinical. At the minute, you look back and you say, okay, the one he had against Leicester, arguably, he scores that, we win the game. But we still took a point away from a very, very credible point on the road. So it's not one you're going to be overcritical with. If we can get to Christmas and we're in a similar sort of position to where we are now, which is like nicely sat in mid-table, still within touching distance of the playoffs. If we're still in that kind of position around Christmas, if we can then get to a situation late second half of the season where he starts finding the bottom corner instead of finding the goalkeeper's hand or foot or whatever, it might make all the difference. So, yeah, for me, I wouldn't tell him to change anything, because the important bit is that he's not getting his... it's frustrating as shit when he's missing it. I know. My head was in my hands watching it on Wednesday. Wrexham were pretty much on the rack for most of this. I mean, you can just see from the stats there that, we had 8 shots, 3 on target. They had 19, 7 on target. We criticised Arthur for a number of things, but Arthur on Wednesday was absolutely on fire, wasn't he?
I think you've got to give some credit to Portsmouth. I think they had a terrible result against Birmingham on Saturday. So similar scenario to our game against Coventry, where we needed a reaction. I think from what I'd kind of read and heard online, I think their fans, their manager very much demanded a reaction to the way they played against Birmingham. And like I say, credit where it's due. I thought, like you say, I think if you're being brutally honest, they were probably the better team. Certainly from an attacking perspective. I thought we had spells Certainly the second half of the first half, I thought when around that time when Lewis O'Brien had that chance, I thought we had good spells, but without necessarily being huge, without creating any real huge chances. But yeah, I thought credit where it's due. The one player for them which I particularly was impressed with was Murphy. Which
God, what
the crazy thing is when
he
when
had
the
Kabore on toast.
When the game started, and because I missed the build up, so literally I put the game on just pretty much before the game was starting, and the camera panned to him, and I looked at him and I was like, hang on a minute, that's bloody Jacob Murphy from Newcastle. What's he doing playing for Portsmouth? And then as the game went on, they were talking about him. It's his brother. Now I've never seen. This was Josh Murphy, I think
so, yeah, Josh,
and I think it's Jacob Murphy that plays for Newcastle, but they look identical. And he was brilliant. But as much as you're saying he had Kabore on toast, and I agree with your point, I think it also does come back to what I was saying in the previous game about Kakachi and Kabore and how important they are. Because although he did create a lot for Portsmouth, Kabore was never too far away from him, and he did give him a tough game, albeit he probably could have stopped some of the balls that Murphy got in, but he wasn't a million miles away, I didn't think. But look, I think, yeah, Portsmouth, I think, to be fair, were the better team. Arthur, I'm really happy for Arthur, to be fair. I think there was that whole debate about him and Danny Ward, and that you could debate that till the cows come home. But I think credit where it's due with Arthur. He probably felt a little bit hard done by at the start of the season, where he basically was dropped for Danny Ward. But he getting the run of games, he's growing into the games, he's growing into the teams, and he's getting back to the Arthur that we got when we had him on loan. He's reminding us of very much of where his strengths are, which is his shot stopping. I mean, the one that sticks out for me was the one in the first half, the save down to his right hand side. That's a difficult place to get down as quickly as he did. But that's one of his strengths is his ability to get down to the corners like that. I think
he even saved with his groin from the corner in the second half. Well, I mean, literally.
According to the song, I'm not surprised, because apparently he's got the biggest in the championship apparently. So I'm not surprised if you had the biggest, then you'd use it to your advantage, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Technically, it's not handball, so it's all good. I think, apart from the obvious, so the saves he's made, I think one thing which I would like to call out about where I think Arthur has improved since he's been in the team in the championship, and this is something that I know I've been a little bit critical of him about in the past, and others have been. There are still parts of his game that he needs to improve on. But the one thing that I think I've definitely noticed an improvement on is his authority in the box is getting better. It's not perfect, but it's getting better. If you look now, he is coming for, albeit he's preferring to punch rather than catch, but that's very much a modern thing. I'm from an era where it was very much, if you're a goalkeeper and you're going to go for the ball, the idea is you catch it, punch him, catch first, punch was like second. Whereas these days, it's all about punch it as far as you can. So the method is just the modern way. But what is definitely noticeable, or certainly what I feel is noticeable, is he is getting better at that. He is starting to come out and he's starting to clear balls away, where in previous seasons or in previous years, he wasn't as dominant doing that. He's still got to improve on it. The size of him, he should be doing it. But I think there's a definite improvement there. But you absolutely can't criticise his contributions from a saves perspective. And in this game, he made some real crucial saves. And probably, one is the point. I mean, I'm just having a quick look at the stats now. I'd imagine, I was going to say he's probably statistically was our best player by some way, and he was.
Yes.
Although again, back three, and in particular Dan Sky, I thought was very good as well.
Yeah, superb, absolutely superb. So that's Wrexham's third clean sheet this season. They finished the week 14th in the league, 5 points off the playoffs, 9 points now away from relegation. So we're starting to stretch away from relegation. 1 point ahead of Swansea City. So we are still the best team in Wales, which is great. We're becoming, I mentioned this to somebody and they sort of didn't, they were a little bit, we're becoming a difficult team to beat. Would you agree with that? Or are we better than that?
Well, no, I would agree with that. If you consider that, we've not lost, last 4 games we've not lost. We've won 2, drawn 2. I would agree that we're becoming a hard team to beat, which is a great trait to have. As much as forget the Cardiff game, because that was in Cup and we've talked that to death. And like I say, it's not to say that's to be forgotten, because I don't think it should be forgotten. But if you just isolate this to the league,
well, I know 4 Cardiff fans who definitely aren't forgetting it.
Yeah, who's that?
The 4 Cardiff fans who met James McLean in the car park.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, okay, fair play. That's another story, isn't it? Yes. I think. Look, I think 14 games in to be sat 14th, because of the way this league works, we are absolutely still in touching distance of making a playoff push. I think what is really interesting is the fact that the real important thing now is to start to see a little bit of consistency. That's not to say that we're gonna win every game like we did against Coventry. We're not. We're gonna lose a lot more games this season. We're gonna draw a lot more games, but to just start to see a little bit of consistency, because the only downside to the Coventry game is that team now, that first 11, which you'd have to probably say the 11 that started that game, probably, I don't know, maybe 9 of them are probably what you would say are our first team. But the only real downside to come out of that game is it's now set a benchmark. It's set a benchmark of what they are capable of doing, because they played so well for the whole game against the best, statistically the best this season. So they've set a real benchmark for what they can do. So the problem is now is if they deviate from that and they have, and again, I'm not stupid enough to suggest that we're going to play like that every game for 90 minutes. But we have to try and find a level of consistency to try and improve the level of performances to a more consistent level. And to be honest with you, hopefully, maybe what we saw against Coventry is the start of this squad of players and team gelling together a little bit more. We've talked about it to death as everybody else has. 14 games in to a season with pretty much a new squad. There is literally only a couple of those players that were involved last season. The rest of them are all brand new. It's going to take time for them to gel together, and to learn Parky's way of playing. We can talk all we want about do we agree with the way he plays and all that jazz, but that's the way he likes to play. These players are maybe having to learn to slightly adapt the way that their game, their way to slightly adapt their game to play that way. But we're starting to see little shoots of that gelling together. So, consistency for me is just to start to see a little bit more consistency now. This, I know we're going to talk about it in a minute, but this game on Saturday against Charlton is a big, big test, for me, because there'll be a lot of needle on that. But forget the past and everything else. You look at the form they're in and the position they're in at the minute, and it will be a real statement for us if we can go and get a result there and put in a good performance to follow up on a great win against Coventry at home, a solid point away at a very difficult place against Portsmouth. So it'll be interesting to see. But no, look, I'm more than happy with the point against Portsmouth. Very difficult place to go and play. Midweek game, they were the better team. If you're being brutally honest, and you got to be fair, they were the better team over the course of 90 minutes. So to come away with a point from that game, for me, I think it's a great result.
Now, in the Much podcast, it's time for today's newspaper, tomorrow's chit paper, where we catch up on Cymru and Wrexham football news. First up, Wrexham Academy have had 2 games in the league over the past couple of weeks. 25th of October, they hosted Chesterfield Youth and won 1-0, the goal scored by a Sammy Chesworth penalty. A week later, Wrexham were at home to Burton Albion Youth, beating them 5-1. Wrexham goals by Alex Moore, Sammy Chesworth, an own goal by Ruben Keller, and 2 goals by Jack Jones. Wrexham finished the week 3rd in the league with 17 points, 3 points off the top spot, but here's the important bit, with 2 games in hand over the leaders. So they win the 2 games in hand, they would go top. Wrexham Academy's next game is this Saturday, the 8th of November, at home to Bradford City Youth. And a number of Academy players have received international call-ups, including a first senior international call-up to the Pakistan national team for Umar Nawaz. Nawaz, who has played for Wrexham AFC under-18s, will travel to Pakistan later this week to link up with the Shaheens, managed by former Newcastle and Peru midfielder Norberto Solano, for their AFC Asian Cup qualifier against Syria. The match will be played at the Jinnah Sports Stadium on Tuesday, 18th of November, and will kick off at 9 a.m. GMT, as Solano's side look to build on the 2 points that they have claimed from their opening 4 games. Jaden Smith and Cyan Holdsworth will join up with the Wales under-16 squad as they make the journey to Turkey, with the squad playing against Portugal and rivals England and hosts Turkey. Leo Saxon and Max Williams have also been called up for international duty with Wales's under-15s, who will travel to Croatia to face Czech Republic, Luxembourg and Croatia. So, Jamie, 2 things there. One, Wrexham has started winning again. As soon as we said, why are they now losing? They win twice. Is it a coincidence that Gaz Williams finally gets announced as Academy manager and then suddenly everything starts to fit together again?
Yeah, that is. I mean, I think that's got to be a coincidence, isn't it? I think the only thing that's probably worth sort of following on from what we were talking about this last week and the previous weeks is, I think, similar to what I said about the women's setup, there's been quite a bit of movement again, hasn't there, with the academy side of things? Obviously, a very significant appointment with the backroom staff. There was the I don't know if you've put it in here, but there's the announcement today that apparently the club have put in some planning request to expand the Darland setup. So again, I think both the women's side of things and the academy side of things maybe was more a case of rather than these things being put on the back burner, which is potentially how it looked from the outside. I think it was maybe more a case of it just fell into that bracket of, because the club has moved so far so fast, they've only got limited resource. You can only do certain things, so many things at any one time. But yeah, I don't think that the appointment would necessarily have such an emphatic effect on these results. Hopefully that was just a blip, and they're back to winning ways. I mean, beating Chesterfield at any level is always good. But to score 5 goals in any game is brilliant, isn't it? So yeah, look, let's just hope that if the academy setup maybe had a little bit of a sticky spot because of people leaving and going and changes and whatever, that hopefully now it's back moving forward, because as we talked about, when this all started, for the long term, starting this production line and getting it up and running and operational. That sounds really rude because we talk about human beings, like, you know what I mean? To be able to eventually feed the first team with Maxes and people like that, rather than having to go out and buy or bring in players externally, is going to be invaluable. So yeah, hopefully now that we're back in the right direction.
Craig Bellamy has announced his squad for the final 2 qualifying games next week. Ben Davies has been included despite missing the past month with injury. The 32-year-old Tottenham defender has not played since picking up a hamstring problem in Cymru's October defeat by Belgium on the 13th. But he returns for the trip to Liechtenstein on Saturday the 15th of November, with Cymru then hosting North Macedonia in the final game in Cardiff on the following Tuesday. Davis will continue to lead Wales as regular captain Aaron Ramsey is once again absent, and is joined in Craig Bellamy's 26-man squad by fit again Leeds United winger Dan James. Ankle problems saw the 27-year-old pull out of last month's squad for the friendly game with England at Wembley and the qualifying clash with Belgium. His replacement, Cardiff City's Isaac Davis, drops out of the squad, although Cardiff City midfielder Ruben Colwell, who we had the misfortune of seeing the sharp end of, keeps his place in the squad. Burnley defender Connor Roberts, Wrexham goalkeeper Danny Ward, and Ipswich Town's Wes Burns all remain unavailable through injury as Cymru look to find some form at the end of the group campaign. So, Jamie, this is probably, now Dan James has come back, Ben's in there, this is probably the strongest squad that Cymru can offer. Does that sound fair?
Pretty much. Pretty much. I mean, I think you do have to take the Ben Davies inclusion with a little bit of a pinch of salt, because I know there is a little bit of a grey area there, isn't there, with injuries and stuff, where sometimes even if a player's been out injured for their club, if they get called up for the national team, I think they can kind of insist that the player comes and that they're assessed sort of independently. You know, even if he isn't fit to play, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest that Bellamy's included him and given him a place on the basis that he's imperative to have around the group of players. You know, like I say, even if he isn't necessarily fit to play the games or play the whole games, because of his experience, because of his influence on the squad, he's probably invaluable to have around, particularly for these 2 games, because of the crucial games. So it'd be interesting. But yeah, there's very little you would probably say that you would add to that take, you know, changes that from being probably the strongest we have available. I'm glad to see Ruben Colwell in there, because, like you just said, the fact that he's playing in League One shouldn't matter. You know, he showed in that game what he's capable of, and not that I'm saying he's going to get anywhere near the first 11 in either of these games. Getting him in these squads, and getting him involved in training and just being around the rest of these players in the long run can only benefit, you know, the Cymru team, because I think he's definitely one that's got a bright future ahead of him.
Cymru Women's road to the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup will begin with fixtures against Czechia, Albania and Montenegro following the draw on Tuesday that placed Rhian Wilkinson's side in Group B1. Cymru were in Pot 1 for the draw, although Czechia are 1 position higher than Wilkinson's side in the FIFA World Rankings. While the other 2 nations occupy places 31 and 32, Albania are currently 72nd, Montenegro are the lowest ranked nation in 85th position. Cymru were relegated from League A prior to making their major tournament debut at the Euro finals in the summer, and now the target will be to top the group during these incoming 6 games that will take place in March, April and June next year. Providing Cymru don't finish bottom in the group, they will then head into the playoffs in the second half of 2026 to try and get that World Cup spot. Wilkinson will be keen for her players to rediscover that winning feeling after a difficult year that has developed 9 defeats and 2 draws. Cymru have never played Albania in a senior women's international, while the last match against Czechia took place at Rodney Parade in April 2019 and ended in a 0-0 draw as Lauren Dykes made her 100th international appearance. The last time Cymru and Montenegro were paired together was back in 2015 World Cup qualifying. Cymru claimed a comfortable 3-0 win in Montenegro in the November 2013 through goals from Hannah Kerikopoulos and a double from Helen Ward. Sarah Wiltshire and Jess Fishlock's hat-trick then sealed a 4-0 win at Bangor in the following May. So, Jamie, Czechia, Albania, Montenegro, I mean, Cymru Women really have got to try and rebuild now. The summer, you know, the summer Euros thing's done. You know, that monkey should be off our back. We've now qualified for the championships. We've really got to use this to push on now, haven't we?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, I think Group B is more where they probably should be. I think they can be more competitive, or maybe be more competitive in this at this level than Group A, without being rude. I think these games will be a good test. I think because not that long ago you'd have looked at these three teams as opposition and said we should be beating these teams, and that's still certainly for two of them that still applies. If nothing else, based on world rankings, but I think because of what we talked about recently with the amount of changes, and obviously, Fishlock and some of the old guard kind of moving aside, and this younger generation coming through, this will be a really interesting test, I think, to see where they're at, because obviously against Poland and against Australia recently, I'm not sure how much you can read into those games, but I think it'll be interesting to see how we fare against this kind of opposition. So yeah, it'll be good. Have they got any? Because when did you say these are next year? May?
Yeah, March, April, and June next year.
So I'm assuming they've got some friendlies lined up before then.
I believe they've got some friendlies this month, although they've not announced them as yet. But apparently they have some friendlies this month. I mean, if they are putting friendlies in, they're leaving it very, very late. It's possible maybe they'll creep into December. Who knows? But yeah, they will have some friendlies, I would think, before Christmas, and then they'll have a camp then leading into the March set of games.
Yeah, but no, like I say, it'll be quite interesting to see these games, because I think on paper these are probably more of an even kind of opponent level, I think, than maybe what we were facing in Group A, League A.
Cymru will host a mini international tournament in North Wales this month as part of the build-up to the 2026 UEFA Men's Under-19s European Championships, which will also be hosted across the region. The tournament, scheduled for November 12th to 18th, will feature some of the world's top youth teams, which include Germany, USA and Japan. Matches will be played at several venues across the north, including Central Park in Denbigh, Hops and Barley Community Stadium in Rhyl, and of course the oldest international football ground in the world, Stoke Ras, the home of Wrexham AFC. Craig Knight will lead the Cymru men's under-19s once again, looking to build on their October international window friendly fixtures against Switzerland, the Netherlands and England. The tournament will provide another invaluable opportunity for Cymru to develop themselves against elite international opposition ahead of the UEFA Under-19s Euro finals next summer. Ticket details for each of these matches will be confirmed in due course, and all three of Cymru's matches will be live streamed by the FAW on its Red Wall Plus streaming service and on the YouTube platform. Jamie, I think that probably the one that most people are watching, and us are very interested in, is that one, 2:30 p.m. GMT, Saturday 15th of November at the Stoke Ras, Cymru versus USA. I think that will be a cracking match, don't you think?
You would think so. I mean, we know, despite the fact that football in the States is at sort of the highest level, senior level, although the MLS has got a lot more kind of popular and a lot more focus in recent years. I think what is kind of well known is the lower levels of soccer, like college football, college soccer, both boys and girls, it's a big deal over there. The facilities they've got. I used to work with a guy whose brother-in-law has lived out in the States for many years, and he's a coach, like college soccer coach. So you would assume that the level is going to be quite good. But to be fair, probably for all those teams involved, you would assume it's going to be quite good. So it'd be I would imagine that'd be quite an interesting watch. I mean, I'll be honest with you, until you showed me that, I didn't know about the game. So unfortunately, I can't make it. But it would have been a good one to watch.
But the fact that you can watch it on Red Wall Plus. It's free. So I mean, I'm not available at that time. So I won't be able to see it live. Certainly not live anyway. I'll try and catch up on it afterwards. But yeah, like you say, the fact that it's available to watch, both. If you're local and you can go get down there and watch it, but the fact you can watch it online or on TV or whatever, is good. So yeah. Elliot Lee will be out of action for 12 weeks after undergoing surgery, according to the Evening Leader. The playmaker has been troubled with a knee injury this season and hasn't featured in the Championship, although the 30-year-old has made 3 starts in the League Cup. Wrexham boss Phil Parkinson confirmed Lee faces an extended spell on the sidelines, and he joins centre-back Lewis Brunt, with a thigh injury being ruled out for at least 3 months. Phil said he has had a problem for a while with that. He saw a specialist last week and they decided to have an operation, so he's going to be out for 12 weeks, unfortunately. But it gives him a chance to get that right. It's something that's been niggling away at him, and he's tried to carry on with it, but he's got to the point last week where we sent him to get a second opinion, and the specialist decided that to get him right, he probably did need surgery. A big question. I mean, it's not fair really on somebody who's just had an operation and is going to be out for 3 months. Are we going to see him in a Wrexham shirt again? Honestly,
I don't think so. We talked about this quite a lot, didn't we? Beginning of the season, during the summer, about the whole kind of sentimentality side of it and history side of it and everything else. Obviously, with Moles and Palmer, and in particular those two. Elliot Lee very much falls into that bracket. I mean, ultimately, if this is going to keep him out for 12 weeks, it's that 3 months. So you're talking, what is it now? In the beginning of November, so December. So you're talking beginning of February. I would assume that his place in the squad will be taken by somebody else come January. So that's going to leave him probably not in the squad for the second half of the season. It's difficult, isn't it? Because you want to be respectful for the contribution that's been made, but you have to also be realistic and honest and say, probably similar to Moles, to Palmer, I think we've moved past the level that Elliot Lee is at. So to answer your question, personally, I would be very surprised if we see him in a Wrexham shirt again. Never say never, but I'd be very surprised given the kind of, if you look at the quality of the player that we've brought in now and that we have access to now, and the type of player that we seem to want to be attracting now. I can't see how Elliot Lee gets back into that. But the most important thing is wish him a speedy recovery from the injury. Same with Andy Cannon. He's another one that I think sadly falls into this bracket where I'd be surprised if we see him again in a Wrexham shirt. He seems to be closer to a return than Elliot is. But just all the best in recovery. Utilise the facilities. Utilise the training. Even if he's not in the squad, get fit, get match fit, and come the summer or whatever it is, then if you can then get yourself a move to get back to playing regularly, nobody's going to do anything other than give praise and best wishes because of what, another one that's been contributed to recent successes, and for what he's contributed will never ever be forgotten by Wrexham fans.
No, absolutely not. Fire up the potato slicer and scrub down the warming cabinet. It's time for the chip shop. Daz obviously is slinked off with his penny on, but Jamie is standing ready to salt and vinegar himself into oblivion. Let's look. It's hot, isn't it? Let's look at the Chip Shop League this week. Jamie, very happy because he's managed to stretch his league due to the fact that Daz didn't have any faith in Wrexham and predicted a Portsmouth win, whereas Jamie and I kept the faith and we predicted a draw. So we both got a point from that. The
only thing I'm frustrated about with that is I genuinely, God's honest truth, very nearly went with heart over head and said a win against Coventry. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have said 3-2. My 2-1 was what I was going to say, but right. I very nearly did it. But I was on such a downer from the Cardiff game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I couldn't bring myself to do it.
None of us got that right. We were all way off on that one, and we were a little bit overzealous with the Wrexham when we thought they were going to beat TNS more, but win's a win, so it doesn't matter. So Jamie stretches his lead to 2 points at the top. Exactly half and half, 16 right, 16 wrong. So well done to him. 19 points. Daz is in second with 17, and I'm still languishing at the bottom with.
Look at them 3 bullseyes there, like Luke Littler here, man.
Yes.
Oh, get in.
Yeah. If it's any consolation, I looked at this point last season, and we're so far behind. It's unbelievable. I think we got at least 5 more right, and we had like 7 or 8 more points each. Is
your keyboard broke? Can you not delete the dash on the bonuses in your column? No. Oh no, it's just because you haven't got any right.
Anyway, first into the fryer tonight. It's Charlton Athletic.
Football in a circus.
So Saturday, 8th of November, kickoff 3 p.m. GMT at Stoke Kairos. We welcome back Charlton Athletic after going toe-to-toe with them last season in League One, culminating in that thrilling game right towards the end of the season where Wrexham won 3-0 at the racecourse and sealed promotion to the Championship. Charlton Athletic then finished 4th in the league at the end of the season. They beat Wycombe Wanderers in the playoff semi-finals over 2 legs, only 1-0, and then managed to beat Leyton Orient 1-0 in the Wembley final, getting back to the Championship for the first time since 2020. In the summer, they spent £10.5 million on players like centre-forward Charlie Kelman from QPR, right-winger Rob Apter from Blackpool, and attacking midfielder Harvey Nibbs from Reading. Of the 3 promoted sides, Charlton have had the best start so far, currently sitting in the last playoff place, 6th, with 6 wins, 5 draws, 3 losses, goal difference of +5 and 23 points, 5 points ahead of Wrexham. Their last 5 results: a 2-1 win at home to Sheffield Wednesday, a 3-0 win away at Ipswich Town, a 1-1 draw away at Hull City, a 1-1 draw at home to Swansea City, and a 1-0 win at home to West Bromwich Albion. And the chips are done. So, Jamie, as you rightly said, reopen the circus. Here comes the chief clown, Nathan Jones. I watched his press conference today. He was very, very careful about what he said because he didn't want to give us any more ammunition. But this is going to be a tough, as you said earlier, this is going to be a tough test, this one, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, look, credit where credit's due. Like you say, they are the highest placed team of the 3 that were promoted from League One last season. I think a couple of their victories recently have been like last-ditch, last-minute winners, but it doesn't matter. You know, that the record doesn't show that you scored in the last minute of the game. It just shows that you won the game and you got 3 points. So credit where it's due. You know, they're stat 6, unbeaten in 5. They're there on merit. So credit where credit's due. And Charlton as a football club, I've got no real beef with. But Nathan Jones is a prick, an absolute prick. So for me, I don't care how we do it. I don't care if it's an if it's a goal scored in the 99th minute off Ryan Hardy's left bollock. I don't care. I just don't want to lose this game. Just because I despise the man so much, and I can see it now. If they beat us, I can just see his smug, prick face being a prick.
But I can understand that because he had to go away and lick his wounds after that 3-0 mauling that we gave him, because in that game they were up for it, they were on a roll and everything, and we were all very nervous, and we absolutely played him off the park. He did have to go away and lick his dick. I mean, lick his wounds, whatever he was doing. But it was self-inflicted. He deserved everything he got because he made those comments, and regardless of whether he said he was referring to this, referring to that, he made those comments. He made his bed. He had to sleep in it. So that was his own fault. There was no need. You know, we've had countless managers come to Wrexham in National League, League 2, League 1, and the Championship. And yes, there's the odd knob along the way, but the vast majority of them all say the same thing, which is credit to the club for what they're doing, how they're doing it. You know, you listen to, as much as you don't like him, listen to Frank Lampard's press conference before the Coventry game last week. You listen to what he spoke about. Yeah, he was very respectful. Yeah.
People who are proper football people understand that what Wrexham have done and are doing is doing it the right way. We've talked about it before. There's so many crooks and there's so many shithouses in football. Sheffield Wednesday is an example that ruin football clubs, ruin communities, and Wrexham are not doing it that way. Yes, we've spent a lot of money and everything else, but if you understand the context, it's proportionate. So he knew exactly what he was doing, and he was just being what he is, which is a prick. End of. So that
Jamie,
for me,
it's good to see that Jamie's found somebody who hates as much as I hate that ginger ponce from Belgium. So yeah, no, fair news.
But for me, I just don't want to lose. Nothing to do with anything else. If fundamentally, if they were the better team on the day and they win, happy days. Just purely because he's involved, I don't want to lose this game. But like we said, it's not going to be easy because they're where they are in the league on merit. But I think it's important that we go into this game confident. Okay, they're unbeaten in 5. We're unbeaten in 4 now. We had a great result on Friday night against like I say, league leaders, but the only unbeaten team in the country at that point. So yes, yeah. We've played brilliantly, and then we've backed it up with a solid point away from home against Portsmouth. Again, another bloody international break. They just seem never ending. Which previously, the last couple of international breaks we've had, after the international break, we've taken a bit of time to get back up to speed. So it's frustrating that we've got another one now, and it's potentially going to break this momentum. But I think it's really important before we have this international break that we can finish on a high. And I'm not saying it's a must-win game, but I think if we can avoid losing, that to me would be decent. If you take the 3 games before the international break of Coventry at home, Portsmouth away, Charlton at home, and if you come away from that with a win and 2 draws, you got to be happy with that.
Fair enough. So time for the salt vinegar and sauce score. Jamie, what's your score prediction for Wrexham versus Charlton Athletic? It's tough, this one, isn't it?
It is tough, and I'll tell you the reason why it's tough is because if you look at their goals for and against, they've scored 16 goals this season. We've scored 19. But the one thing that they have been better at is keeping them out. They've only conceded 11 goals. We've conceded 19. Yep. So statistically, what that tells you is that they're a good defensive side. So you have to take that into account. To be fair, as much as a lot of me is saying draw, I'm gonna maybe this is my hatred of Nathan Jones taking over, but I'm gonna go for a Wrexham win. But I think it's gonna be tight. So I'm gonna go for a 2-1 Wrexham win, I think.
This was really tough for me, really tough. But I'm predicting a 2-1 Charlton win. I think they're going to be up for it. I think they're going to want revenge. Wrexham have travelled, so they've got the 1 day less rest because Charlton have had a day more rest. It's a 3-game week, so we're playing Friday, Wednesday, Saturday. I think that's going to take it out of us. I think they're going to come when they're going to want it. They absolutely, you're right. They're on. They squeaked that win on Tuesday night. They just seem to be able to squeak wins. I agree with you. I think Nathan Jones is an absolute knob end, but I just think they're going to do it. I hope I'm wrong. I had the same feelings, to be fair, at the game last season, and we beat them 3-0. So hopefully I'm going to be wrong, but I'm going to say Charlton 2.
I think 1. I think you're right. I think there's no question that they're going to be up for it, even though a good number of their team is a very different team to last year. Because like with us, they made a lot of changes in the summer, but the one consistent is Charlie, isn't it? The prick. Because, and you know what he's like. He is going to drill into those players, whether they're new or whether they were there last season. He's going to drill into those players and really get them up for this game. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. The challenge here is for Parky to do the same, because he should be saying to our players, "Listen, none of you were here last season. None of you will remember what happened, apart from a couple of squad players.
George Dobson, Cleworth, and O'Connell. They're the only ones who are going to know.
But the rest of you, none of you will have known. You will have seen what happened, but you won't have experienced it. But hopefully, he will drill into them as much as Nathan Jones is going to drill into the Charlton players about wanting to get kind of revenge, if that's the right word, for what happened. hopefully Parky's going to do the same with our squad and say, listen, go out there and show them that last year wasn't a one-off, that we are a better team. But we'll see what happens.
So let's wrap those chips up to keep them warm. And next into the fryer is Llandudno Ladies.
Stav's not sent a prediction.
No, not yet. He hasn't.
How's that going to work then?
Well, you'll have to get it in, won't he? I'll ask him tomorrow. I'll say, can you get it in before the game? Let me put it this way, right? If he doesn't give us his thing before the game, then it's automatically a loss and no points. So he doesn't get any points from it. So
listen, whatever. Message him, tell him to put the cowpole down, and get a prediction in.
Yeah, I'm sure if he was well enough to be here tonight, I'm sure he would be. But he's
hang on. He's just messing me now. His prediction for the Charlton game is Wrexham 7, Charlton 0.
Oh, right, okay, fine, okay. Yeah, but what happens then if Wrexham win, you win as well, so it doesn't matter, does it? Anyway, next into the fryer tonight is Llandudno Ladies FC. So a week off from the Gennaro Adran Premier this week, although we are in the Gennaro Adran Premier Trophy this Sunday, the last 16 to be precise, as Sunday 9th of November, kick-off 5:30 p.m, not 2 o'clock as people have said, 5:30 p.m. GMT, at a venue still to be determined according to the Wrexham website. It might be the Rock, it might be the Globe, it might be Asda Car Park, we just don't know. Wrexham, though, are hosting Llandudno Ladies FC in the last 16 of the Gennaro Adran Trophy. Llandudno Ladies are currently in Gennaro Adran North, currently third in the league with 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss. Goal difference of +1 and 4 points, 2 points off Connah's Nomads at the top. In the Gennaro Adran Trophy, Llandudno were in qualifying Group 3, which means they had to play in round robin. They won all 3 of their games versus Felinheli, Connah's Nomads and Berriew Ladies, topping the group. Wrexham obviously enter the competition at this stage because they are one of the top 8 high-ranking teams. So the top 8 high-ranking teams come in at the last 16 level. Wrexham reached the semi-finals of this cup last year, but they were eventually beaten by Swansea City 3-2. TNS went on to win the trophy. Wrexham and Llandudno last met in the 2022-23 Gennaro Adran North League, where Wrexham beat them twice. And the chips are done. Jamie, interesting one, this one, because obviously they've not played Llandudno for 2 years, 3 years. Before that, it was quite a ding-dong battle between the two. They were quite close. Although the result in that last season, the one I just talked about, Wrexham won 5-0 and 5-2, because obviously they were on fire in that season because they went completely unbeaten in the Gennaro Adran North to get to the playoff game and then obviously to get into the Premiership. I mean, this is. I think this is going to be a tough test. Do you think Wrexham will look at it in that way, or will they kind of go, "Oh, it's going to be like Llandudno last year, and we're going to win 12-0 or whatever it was"?
I think it's a hard one to predict. I think you've got to forget the last meetings, because that was a very, very, very different scenario from Wrexham's point of view, at least. I think that there's the element of this, the fact that it's like a local derby, if you want to kind of categorise it as that's so as with any derby at any level, any gender, whatever it is, there's always a little bit of extra stake in it. There's always a little bit of extra stake on the game. However, I think one of the most important factors to this is, unless Jenny Sugarman brings in like a load of under-19s, she hasn't got the luxury that Phil Parkinson's got with a massive squad to be able to completely change the team for a cup game. And also as well, because of the way that the league works and the fact that it is such a small league, and it is, without being rude and disrespectful, certainly this season, there's a very clear divide, isn't there, between the top and the bottom. I think she will take the cup competitions very seriously. So with that in mind, you have to take into account the fact that really Wrexham's current position, the way they're playing, the results they're getting, the squad they've got, you'd have to say that collectively it will be too much for them. But yeah, cup games, you can never be sure with a cup game, can you? Say it doesn't matter at any level. How many times over the years in different cups have we seen?
I think Llandudno will be up for it, and I think Jenny will make some changes. It'll be interesting to see whether maybe Chloe Ankers comes into goal instead of Liz Craven. I would imagine, I would be surprised if Rosie Hughes didn't start instead of Abby Indenden, because she did against Aberystwyth. So I think I could be very surprised if she didn't start. I'd be very surprised if she didn't try and take, put some of the players in and take some of the, Katie Barker, I would imagine, on the bench. I honestly see her on the bench and bring her on with 30 minutes to go, because then if we are losing, she would be terrified. She'd be terrifying against a tired lower league defence. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to put her on in the beginning. I think a number of these players you don't need. We were talking about Faye Knox. I'd be surprised if Faye Knox didn't start instead of maybe someone like Lily Jones.
100%. But even if all those changes were made, you're not talking about a significant weakening, are you? Going back to what we were talking about before about the depth and the quality of the squad, it's still only a small squad. Beyond the players that are on the bench, the squad's probably not much bigger than that. There's probably not many more players that are not named on the subs bench. So
no.
I agree with you. I think it wouldn't surprise me if all those changes that you've just mentioned were done or made. But you're still, you're still a very strong team, and certainly on paper, a team that is, in the nicest possible way, should still be enough to beat Llandudno.
So time for the salt vinegar and sauce Coch. I'll go first from this one. I think Wrexham 3, Llandudno Ladies 1. I think Wrexham will do a rotated side. I think the strong players will still be on the bench. I think Llandudno will be absolutely up for it, and I can see them scoring first, to be honest, because I think we'll be a little bit shocked. But I think with the 90 minutes of the game, you can just see where they play it, because that pitch at the Globe on Sunday was very heavy. And I think that's heavy legs after Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see where it gets played. Don't know on that one. But yeah, I still think Wrexham have got enough to win it. So, Jamie, what's your score prediction for Wrexham Women versus Llandudno Ladies?
Sorry, what did you say Llandudno's last couple of results were?
I don't know what their last couple of their results were. They've won one in the league. They've won one, drawn one, lost one. And in the
drawn one, lost one.
And the qualifiers for this trophy, they won all three.
Okay. See, I wasn't sure. I was debating 3-1 or 3-0.
How many will Mia Roberts score? That's the question you need to be asking.
Yeah, she'd be bang up for it, wouldn't she? So I agree with you. I think Llandudno will score, and just so that there's some difference, I'll go for 4-1 Rex.
So let's wrap those chips up to keep them warm, and we'll be looking back at both these games in next week's pod. So there we are. Hopefully Daz will be back next week. After his illness, we'll look back at the Wrexham versus Charlton Athletic game and Wrexham Women versus Llandudno Ladies before the vital mouth-watering games for Cymru men away at Liechtenstein and at home versus North Macedonia to see if they can manage to win the league or whether they'll be heading towards the playoffs for that all-important World Cup spot in America, Canada and Mexico next year. Wrexham Women also take another trip south to take on Pontypridd United. So that'll be quite an interesting game. Please let us know by the usual channels on social media and by email as well if you want. 8morechipspodcast, all one word, @gmail.com. Any questions, comments, whatever you feel they might be, please feel free to drop us a line. Get well soon, Daz, obviously. Sorry to hear that you're a bit crappy. But I'm sure you'll be back next week with more snotty-nosed nonsense, as you always do. Of course, one person who is here, keeping the lid on everything and making sure that I don't get too apologetic is my little brother. So thank you, Jamie.
Pleasure.
And so, until next week, if we're not all covered in flu by that point, come on, Cymru, and come on the town.
more.
Clinton, 4-0. Thomas, after like a goal. That's number 5.
Plays it through to Bellamy. Craig Bellamy. Craig Bellamy. It's 2-1 Wales. Craig Bellamy. Tony Hughes for Wrexham into the lead.
And that's it! Wrexham are champions! Wrexham are champions! Wrexham are the FA Trophy winners 2013!
Hardick's cross, great ball! Equaliser! Elliot Lee!
Back to back to back promotions. Oh, can you believe it?
The Eat More Chips Podcast.